Good morning. Hope you guys are doing well. Hope everybody had a nice night last night. I am really excited because today on my Instagram Live, I get to interview somebody who I have admired for so many years now, and this is such a treat for me. I'm going to be talking to Wally Lamb, I Know This Much Is True, which came out in 1998 when I was just graduating from college, not to make myself sound super old, but you know, whatever I am. Anyway, he's also written 5 New York Times bestsellers. I'll just read this from the back here, even though I have another bio, but I'll just read it. Wally Lamb is the author of 5 New York Times bestselling novels. She's Come Undone, which I also loved. If you haven't read that, go read it. I Know This Much Is True, which is this one. The Hour I First Believed, Wishin' and Hopin', and We Are Water. His first 2 works of fiction, She's Come Undone and I Know This Much Is True, were both #1 New York Times bestsellers and selections of Oprah's book club. Lamb edited Couldn't Keep It to Myself, I'll Fly Away, and You Don't Know Me, 3 volumes of essays from students in his writing workshop at York Correctional Institution, a women's prison in Connecticut, where he has been a volunteer facilitator for 2 decades. He lives in Connecticut and New York. And I have to say, when I pulled this out of the box, actually it was my daughter who's about to be 13, and she pulled this book out and she looked at it, it's 900 pages, and she was like, oh mom, I don't think you're gonna wanna read this one. Anyway, she was wrong. It's amazing, and if you haven't watched yet, it is a limited series on HBO. It started last Sunday night and is so good with Mark Ruffalo and Juliette Lewis, so you should definitely check that out. And now I will invite Wally to join, and hopefully this will work. We'll find out. Let's see. Yes, there he is. I'm so excited. This book is so good, and it's about twins, one of whom is a paranoid schizophrenic, and the effect that that has on a family, and the effect some of his actions that he takes have on a family, and all the relationships in their worlds. It's about them losing their mother. It's about their relationship with a pretty abusive stepfather, and it just delves deep into all of it for the non-paranoid schizophrenic twin named Dominic and his brother, and it's beautiful, and wow, the writing is just immersive, and it says connecting. I'm waiting for him to join, so hopefully this will work. In the meantime, I'm just going to keep rambling about how much I loved this book, and hopefully he'll be joined soon. The show also on HBO, for those of you looking for a new show, from the moment it started was so good. And by the way, and I want to talk to him about this. Oh no, now he's not even connecting. It's so true to the book. I know so many movies are not adaptations direct from the book, and this is like actually exactly what it's like. So let's try this again. I know he's trying, so hopefully it'll work. And yeah, we'll see what happens. I know Wally is sort of a recent Instagrammer, so I have technical problems with, I would say, probably half of the guests. I don't know why I keep doing this, but I don't know, why not? It seems like in today's virtual world, there aren't that many options. So 2 issues I found with joining Instagram Lives is, which I maybe should have said ahead of time. So Wally, I hope you're not trying to join from a computer. If you are, just do it from your phone instead. And if you have too old of an iPhone, if it's from like a long time ago, that might not work as well. It has to have the video capability. It says waiting. Oh no, I hope this works. I was so excited. I'll just keep waiting and hoping. So for those of you who just joined, we're waiting for Wally Lamb to join us. I know this much is true. It says he's unable to join. Why? Okay, well, Wally, if you're at a computer, try logging on from your phone, and if it's too old of an iPhone, at least write in the comments if that's what's happening, and or maybe there's somebody else in your house who can log on, and I could invite them to join. So just, you can write in the little comments when you're on Instagram, you can just add a comment and let me know what's going on. Did it take me a long time to read? I have to admit, I read this when it first came out, so it's all coming back to me, but I haven't reread all of it this time around. This time around, I've got through probably almost 200 pages of the 900 pages. But so I feel terrible that I haven't reread the whole thing front to back, but I did read it. So I feel like that counts. I read it, as I said, in 1998 when it first came out. I was just graduating college, and I remember reading it. And anyway, all his books are great. I also really remember reading She's Come Undone, which was fabulous. And I'm sorry, this is taking a little while. Thank you for saying that counts. I appreciate it. Hi, Heather. Having a little trouble getting the technology down, but hopefully this will work soon. Anyway, we're waiting for Wally Lamb, and it said it was hard for him to join, but we're not going to give up, and hopefully this will work soon. Because I'll be excited. And tomorrow we're going to be talking to Judy Battalion, who wrote a book called The Light of Days. And she also wrote a book, a memoir, which I'm excited to talk to her about. Her mother was a hoarder, and she wrote a book about that. I wonder if I have it here to show you. Oh, I do. Maybe I'll get up and show it to you while we're waiting for him. Oh, thank you. Someone's saying that what I'm doing is inspiring. That makes me feel good when I can't even get this Instagram live to work. But anyway, Judy's book here, I'm going to grab it so you can see it, because why not? Hold on. Okay, so this is tomorrow. So this book is her new book. It's called The Light of Days. It's supposed to have come out. Oh, he says he's here. Okay, let me try it again. All right, Wally, I'm trying this again. It says unable to join, though, and I don't know why. I don't know why it's not working. Can you press request to join, or is it not letting you even say that? Maybe you have too old an iPhone, or if you're on a computer, make sure to be on a phone. Yoo-hoo, I see you live. Okay, I'm trying to get you to join, but it says unable to join. I am so sorry. We're gonna figure this out. I don't know, is there anybody in the house or somebody you're with who maybe has a more up-to-date iPhone? Or if you're on your computer, Wally, can you go to your phone or iPad? Maybe if I hop on and off, I haven't found that to work. It's usually on the other side, but I can. Let's give it another try. I know you see me, and this is like so hard because you're right there and you're ready to talk to me, and I'm ready to talk to you, and it's not working. So if it doesn't work, Wally, if this doesn't work, hi, I know, but it's saying that I can't ask you to join. It's saying you're unable to join. Wait, hold on. Okay, hold on. I'm adding you again. Let's see if this works. Now it says waiting. Now I just need it to stay connecting, and hopefully it will work. And I'm so sorry for this. I don't know why these things happen sometimes. So frustrating. In the meantime, I'll keep talking about tomorrow's guest until Wally can join us. But Judy wrote White Walls, a memoir about motherhood, daughterhood, and the mess in between. So I'm excited to talk to her about this. And then, this is so sad, this book was supposed to come out this summer, and it just got pushed almost a year back, and she just found out. So we were about to do a podcast to get excited for the release, and they want to give it more of a red carpet treatment when it does come out. Steven Spielberg has already optioned this. It's like amazing. But sadly, Judy's going to have to wait for that to come out. But we can still talk about it tomorrow when she comes on, and hopefully we won't be having these problems. And it still says waiting for Wally Lamb author, and I don't know why. This is killing me. Anyway, it says he's unable to join, and I don't know why. If Wally is still watching and we can't get this to work, then I will get off of Instagram Live and I will do the podcast, and I will release that soon. And no invitation to join. It said, hold on, it said here. Okay, I'm pressing add. And now it says waiting. So I am inviting you. I don't know. I don't know what's going on. It says maybe over audio. There is no audio thing. I wonder what else I can do. I wonder if I should try it over Facebook. I'm sorry. I don't know why it just says waiting. Sorry. I know. I don't know. The only times that I found it really isn't working is if there's not a good enough Wi-Fi connection, or if it's from too old an iPhone, or if it's from a computer and not from a phone. So, can he call you on your cell phone? but this is my cell phone that I'm doing the Instagram live on. So if he puts me on speaker, then how would that work? Okay, let me try to think about how else I can solve this problem. FaceTime him from my computer and then put him on Instagram live. I could try to do a Skype from the computer and turn this around. Oh wait, hold on. Can you update your Instagram app, or do you have a home phone? Wally, I could try to put you on Skype and then just requested to join. Oh, wait, that's good news. Hold on. Wait. Hold on. Hold on. Maybe this will work this time. Oh, for God's sakes. Now this is my fault. This is not his fault. It says unable to join. It says request. Oh, wait, hold on. Now it says add. It looks like it's coming in and out from your computer. Wait, no, it says connecting. Yay! Yay, I'm so excited. I see your lamp. You're there. Turn it around. Oh, for God's sakes.
Can you see me?
Wally,
yeah.
I see your ceiling. Come down. Unable to join. It says request. Yay! I was losing hope. Well, there he is. It's connecting. Oh, I'm so excited. Thank you so much. I'm so glad that worked.
I don't know. This is
I see your ceiling. Come down.
This is
join. It says request.
This is definitely a hey boomer moment, isn't it?
I'm sorry. And now I hear my voice and your thing. So anyway, okay. Well, thank you for solving whatever problem happened. I'm thrilled.
Yeah, I'm so sorry that this was a bad start. But here we are.
Ready to go. Thank you so much for coming on. I'm sorry. And by the way, this happens to so many guests, so it's not just you. I don't know. It's an imperfect science. So thanks for.
I was saying before, I'm having a real hey boomer moment.
It's not just boomers. There are plenty of people younger than me who are having trouble, so don't feel bad.
All right. Well, here we go.
Here we are. Thank you so much for coming on my Instagram Live. Thank you for coming on Moms No Time to Read Books. So exciting to have your show, to be able to watch it and read it at the same time. It's really, really a pleasure. So thanks.
Sure.
So just because the show has just come out, what is it like for you? Your book came out so long ago, and now suddenly here's the show. What does that feel like for you?
Well, it's very exciting, and has been exciting for a couple of years. I was able to be on the set several times in the past year, and working with Mark Ruffalo before that to sort of put everything together and get the right director and so forth. So everything came out beautifully, and it was a long haul. Back when in 1998, when the novel was first published, Oprah picked it up for her book club, like right out of the gate, and it was sold to the movies. And the intention by a major studio that had bought it was to make a 2-hour movie. Now the problem is that it's pretty impossible to turn a 900-page book into a 2-hour movie. It's just it's a small container to put all those pages into. So it went on for about 15 years, and they kept trying to write screenplays and so forth, and they couldn't get it to work. And then at the end of 15 years, there was this little thing in my contract with this studio that said if they couldn't make the movie in 15 years, the rights would revert back to me. And so lucky me, along had come premium series with major actors in them and so forth in those 15 years. So, my agent said, okay, let's shop this around as a series. Who would you like to play the twins? I said, oh, that's easy. My first choice would be Mark Ruffalo. So she sent him the book. He was filming in Europe at the time. About maybe a week and a half later, I get this unbelievably sweet email from him saying, Wally, I'm a slow reader. I'm only half of the way through, but I already know I want to do this. He said, these are my people. He says, this is the family that I come from and the place I come from. He was talking about, the similarities between my working class background and his. And he just jumped on and was loyal for the next, I think, couple of years until we got the right producer and the right director, who is Derek Cianfrance. Amazing, amazing talent between the two of them, and everybody else who kind of plugged into this whole project.
Wow. So this is like the one example of why it's great that the film industry can be really slow
Yeah,
because
exactly.
it's like you tried to fit a round hole in a square peg 15 years ago, and now finally you just didn't know that pegs came in this size. So it's great.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
Oh, fantastic. So what's it like? So first of all, how, and I don't only want to talk about the show, but it's so exactly like the book. I was prepared to watch the show and have some sort of interpretation of the book, as so often happens. But this is literally like the same dialogue, the same scenes. How did you get that? How did you do that? It's
Well,
impressive.
I didn't. I certainly didn't ask for that. What happened was that Derek, I saw that he had great instincts right at the beginning, and I had loved some of his earlier films, Blue Valentine and The Place Beyond the Pines. And he said to me, I think maybe the first or second time that we met in New York, he said, I want you to know that whatever this turns out to be, I'm going to honor the story that you created. And my response was, well, that's great. I really appreciate that, but don't forget to make it your own. And I helped them, sort of take a look at the setting, the Three Rivers, Connecticut, a sort of a fictional amalgam of some of the towns in eastern Connecticut, where I grew up and where I live now. So I did preliminary work with them, and then I just let it go. I said, Derek wanted to write the screenplays for the 6 episodes. And I said, yeah, I don't need to see them. I don't need to be consulted. You make it your own. And I could see when I made those visits to the set while they were filming that, okay, this is going to be really special. So yeah, there are changes. The dialogue is pretty much the same dialogue as the book. But he made some, I think he made some really wise changes, and they sort of roll out as the episodes continue. But I was perfectly happy with them. I didn't miss what I had written in the book that didn't get into the series. But yeah, all was well.
Wow. And so what is it like for you sort of sitting on the couch, or I'm assuming, what's it like for you just turning on the TV and here is this project that's been in your heart and your world for so long, and suddenly, finally, it's up there? Like, what was that feeling like for you? Did you have like and now in quarantine too, I'm sure ordinarily you would have had a big to do, but what was
Yeah.
it like for you?
Well, I was invited when Derek was still editing the episodes, and that was just about the time that the coronavirus was sort of taking over in New York, and it was kind of on my back burner. And Derek invited me and my wife to come in for 2 different Mondays to a screening place, like an editing studio. And he said, these are still kind of rough cuts, but we want to show you the series. So we went in on one Monday and saw episodes 1 through 3, and then the following Monday we saw episodes 4, 5, and 6. My wife went back to Connecticut. I hung around at our little apartment in New York to do some work, and every day I walked out, either to go on the subway or to the movies or something, and it's like, man, there are more masks today than there were yesterday. So finally, after about, I don't know, 4 or 5 days, I said, I think I better hightail it into quarantine. So luckily, I didn't get the virus while I was hanging around in the city, and so I had the 6 episodes sort of, I had seen them, but it was a way different thing on Sunday night. We were invited by the producer, Film Nation, to have a toast so the episode aired at 9, and we all convened by Zoom at 8 o'clock. And, the actors and the producer and the director and Mark was there and so forth. And we all just sort of expressed how excited we all were because we could finally share it with everybody else. It really had been a labor of love for so many people.
Wow. Well, congratulations on the show being out in the world as the perfect complement to this book being out in the world. So great job. Congratulations.
Thank you, Zibby.
So let's go back to the book. So let's teleport back to the late 1990s. Mm-hmm. What made you write this book to begin with? Why these characters? Why the twins? Why paranoid schizophrenia? Mm-hmm. What drew you to these characters? And tell me about writing the book at the beginning.
Mm-hmm. My first book, She's Come Undone, was published in 1992. And I had a breakfast meeting with my then agent out in California, and she pulls out some, legal size paper, and I said, "Oh, what's that?" I was on book tour for She's Come Undone, a modest little story by Wally and so she said to me that the publisher would like to do a second book with you, and they would be willing to give you some advance money. And I said, well, that seems a little backwards to me. I said, I haven't done any work and they're going to give me money for it. But my agent said, oh, well, that's an interesting point of view. Would you like a little bit more Chardonnay? So anyway, I ended up signing on the dotted line. And then I went home and I couldn't think of a damn thing. Zibby, I was so freaked out that here I had been paid and I couldn't think of a topic. And then one day, I was sort of facing desperation at that point. I mean, I remember I had extracted one of my kids' toys from their toy box that they had at that point abandoned, and I found one of those little wooden paddles with the elastic and the rubber ball and so forth. And I had gotten embarrassingly good at that, 94, 95, 96, 97. And in that sort of era of panic, I got it was almost like a movie in my head, not longer than 5 or 6 seconds. And what I saw in that silent movie was a guy in a pickup truck driving on a sleepy country road. And I didn't know who he was. I didn't know why he was out driving in the middle of the night when everybody else is home sleeping. And so I started writing in this guy's voice, and it turned out to be an angry voice. And that was the beginning of Dominic, who is the main character of the story. And I didn't know at that point he had a brother. I didn't know certainly that he had a twin brother. But the more I wrote, the more that character revealed himself to me. And earlier, about 1988, 89, 90, I had been a high school teacher. I mean, I still was when I started this novel, but I was running a writing center, and we were writing across the curriculum. So I had a history class come in, and they had been studying the Great Depression. And I said, well, I think I'll create a program whereby people who had been teenagers during the Great Depression and are now, elderly, retired, and so forth, I'll have them come in, and the kids can interview, these different subjects. So they came in. There was a 3 or 4 day program, and the first day there was a guy who was a little bit unusual. He didn't say anything, and finally I said to him, Mr. Mayock, would you like to tell us your story of growing up during the Great Depression? And at that point, he took off his dark glasses, and he had a missing eye, and he uncrooked his arms from he had his hands in his armpits, and I saw that he had a missing hand. And he proceeded to tell us a story about how he had been a pacifist in World War II, and he had studied his Bible, and from that Bible, he had, God had spoken to him that if he could make a huge personal sacrifice, then he could stop the war. And so I saw all my high school students looking at each other like, and so anyway, he was coming back the next day, but none of the kids wanted to work with him. They were too freaked out. So I started talking to him, and I got to be friends with him and learn his very sad story. He had been locked away in the state hospital for the mentally ill for years, for decades. And he had gotten out back in the 1980s, I think. And so that, Thomas Birdsey is an amalgam of this guy, but also he is sort of consumed by the twin thing. And as I realized that Dominic and Thomas were twins, what I began to figure out, and I'm talking about slowly over years, was that the reason for Dominic's anger is that it sort of covered over his fear. These guys had started out as a single fertilized egg that, for reasons we don't know, split apart and became two different people. One of them develops the disease, one of them does not, but is sort of cast into the role of his brother's keeper. But Dominic is reluctant as a brother's keeper. He promises his dying mother that he'll take care of his brother, but that's a pretty big assignment. And so I wanted to, the more I got into it, and I don't write with an ending in mind. I write to discover on a daily basis what's going on with these people. And so little by little, I realized that that Dominic, in his own way, was damaged by their upbringing. And then it calls into question, things like nature or nurture, which is the dominant one. Did Thomas develop the disease because of his environment or because of his biochemistry? I ended up not coming to any conclusion about that, but I investigated. And I think probably fiction writers don't need to answer questions. They just need to ask them.
There's one perk of fiction writing. Wow. Well, that is a really interesting story. I would never have guessed that that was based on a true occurrence, that someone had actually done that. And I'm assuming the Depression era man also took out his own eye, like he did his hand. Both. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
He took out his eye first and was locked away in the hospital, given electroshock treatments. And this is back in the 1940s. And he told me, he said, I had to be cagey or else they'd keep giving me those things. So he said, I worked in a defense plant. He worked in a tannery. And he said, I promised that I would go back and work, in this defense plant if they would let me out. And they did let him out. And then a year to the day later, he cut off his hand. And there is a biblical dictate in there, if thy right eye sinneth, pluck it out, for the Lord and cut off thy right hand and so forth. I do. When I went on a book tour back in 98, 99, I had many people come up to me from the audience afterwards and say, did you write that based on so-and-so? And, they gave me names that I didn't know. And I realized that, that had motivated a lot of people to mutilate themselves. And there were a lot of examples of that.
Wow. When you were on book tour, did people ask if you shared some of these pacifist beliefs?
Yeah. And I was, this was in the time after the Gulf War, but the wars were still stirring around. And I was very, candid about that. Yes, I do feel that war is a waste, and I still feel that way. And so ironically, here's this guy, Peter Mayock, who, was certifiably crazy, and, to some people, and yet he and I thought alike in terms of, politics.
Interesting. When you were working on this book, did you have to do a lot of research on paranoid schizophrenics, or did you go, I know you've done a lot of in-depth work at different prisons. Did you do similar work at state institutions like Hatch and all the rest?
No, what happened was, I had grown up in Norwich, Connecticut, which houses, hey, buddy.
So sorry, this is literally the first time this has happened.
That's cool. We love
I'm
kids.
sorry. My friends keep saying, how do you keep your kids out? And I'm like, I don't know. Anyway, I guess I don't. So there you go.
Anyway, that was a nice little diversion. I liked it. No, so I grew up in Norwich, Connecticut, which housed the largest state facility, for the mentally ill. Huge campus, lots of different buildings, and so forth. And when I was a kid, I would be riding in my parents' station wagon in the back seat, and whenever they drove by this facility, I would be curious about it and a little bit scared by it, and but also fascinated, and it just seemed mysterious to me. I never walked the grounds until I started writing this novel. I learned somewhere along the way that my own grandfather, my maternal grandfather, who was an Italian immigrant, had been housed in the last years of his life, not only at that prison, but in the forensic building, with the bars on the windows. He had committed a criminal act against my grandmother. He had a brain tumor, and it had turned him violent, and he tried to kill my grandmother. I knew my grandmother and loved her very much, but my grandfather, I didn't know at all. Deep dark family secret. Sort of old school Italians. You didn't talk about the shame of this and so forth. So I didn't know anything about him until I was about a teenager. So in some ways, I think I was reaching out, without realizing it while I was writing that. I think I was reaching out to just to create a grandfather in the vacuum of the one I didn't know anything about. But of course, the grandfather I created is not a nice guy.
Yeah, I was gonna say you could have made him a little warmer and fuzzier if you were gonna make yourself a grandfather, but
Yeah, yeah. But anyway, that's it. It came from that too. That my curiosity about mental illness. Did I do a lot of research? Well, the first research I did was I got myself a tour of the Norwich State Hospital in its closing days. It was closing down building by building. I think there were 2 buildings left, and this was it would have been the early '90s. And during the tour that I got, I buttonholed a psychiatrist who happened to be walking by, and I was introduced to him. And I said, "Hey, doc, I got this character." And at that point, I had started writing Thomas, but I didn't know, what his mental illness was. And I said, "So this guy is saying this, and he's doing this, and so forth." And he was the one who said to me, "Sounds like paranoid schizophrenia." So now it was incumbent on me to learn all I could about that disease. It's not in my family, thank goodness. And but I really felt like I needed to do my homework. And the best homework, I mean, obviously, I read a lot of books, I read a lot of articles, but the most useful research I did was talking to people, family members of people who have this disease, psychiatric nurses, that kind of thing.
wow. And then you end up writing a 900-page book about it. How how did you do that? How did you keep it all straight? I know you said you didn't have an ending in mind, but
Yeah.
was this like did you write it by hand? Did you write it on the computer? Did you have papers everywhere? Like, what was it like, and how long did it take for you to craft the whole narrative?
Yeah. Well, She's Come Undone, my first novel, I had written all in longhand with big pens and loose leaf paper. But then I got, very modern with number 2, and I had one of those 800-pound computers with dot matrix printer and all that kind of stuff. And so I started writing, with the technology that was available at the time. And it just sort of lived in the hard drive of my computer for years. I had index cards all over the wall in the office where I wrote, so that if I forgot a section, or if I forgot something that had happened, or a date or something, I could just look up and see that. So I had those kind of visual aids. I don't know, it took me 6 years to write that novel. Somewhere around year number 4, I decided, well, I should probably print this out to see how long it is. And when that dot matrix printer was still going about an hour and a half later, I said, uh-oh, who the hell is going to read, a book this long? But, I just kept going because I needed to find out what was going to happen. And when it came in at about 900 pages, with a great deal of trepidation, I sent it off to my editor, and she said the whole story was worth it, and they were gonna print it, with some editing, but as is. So.
Wow.
I was
That's
lucky.
amazing. I mean, it wasn't luck. I mean, it's really fantastic. I wonder if that would happen today, if editors would be like, sure, no problem, 900 pages. I feel like it's harder and harder to do that, but
Yeah,
um,
I think because of the technology and maybe other factors too. I think all of our attention span is sort of reduced from what it used to be. But I don't know. I don't know. Thank goodness too. Film Nation and HBO decided to go with a six episode series as well.
that's true.
Yeah.
Although when it ended on Sunday, I was sad they, sometimes they do two at once in the beginning, but no, just one at a time. So we have to wait.
Yeah.
How did you always know you wanted to be a writer? Like, is this something that you always aspired to, or like,
Uh,
how did you end up doing She's Come Undone? How did, not to take too much of your time, but just how do you realize you're such a gifted writer? How does that happen?
well, first of all, I would quibble on whether how gifted I am or not. I always feel sort of apologetic about anything that I've written. I hate it when I go to a reading of a book that I'm giving a reading of a book that I've published sometimes years before, and I hate it when people are sitting in the audience reading along from their copy of the book because I'm still fixing it, from in front of the microphone. I'm changing this and that and everything because I feel that my writing is imperfect. And but as far as how I started, I didn't want to be a writer. I talked to a lot of writers who were journaling when they were 8, 9 years old. That wasn't me. I was too busy, plopped in front of the TV, watching things. But I did always draw, and I love drawing still. I did, when I wasn't watching TV, I was drawing, and sometimes doing both at the same time. And and I think that was, without realizing, that was my leg up into preparing to be a fiction writer. Also, as far as She's Come Undone is concerned, I grew up in a very girl-centric neighborhood. Um, I have two older sisters. I always wanted a brother. That never happened. And every other kid on the street on McKinley Avenue, where I grew up, was a girl. And there was one boy, Vito Signorino, but whenever I went outside, he used to throw rocks at me. So,
Oh no.
he wasn't exactly good material for a playmate. Anyway, so I wasn't really such a lonely kid, but I was a solitary kid. Occasionally, I would be, cast in some fantasy thing that my sisters and their friends would be. They were one time they were nurses at a hospital, and they let me play with them so that I could be the patient, and they could, give me shots. They would stick, common pins into my arm and stuff like that. But other than that, I would kind of be an observer of their weird games and, play. And so I think that's not a bad thing, if you're going to grow up to be a writer, particularly of a writer of a book with a female character who is speaking to the readers. And so all this is, Monday morning quarterbacking. This is looking back on a life. But I think all of those things, and also the fact that I was a high school teacher for about 25 years, and about maybe 9 years into teaching writing, in the English classroom, I became a writer myself. I hadn't been that in the early years of my teaching. And when I started writing fiction, I threw out all that I thought I knew about how to teach writing. And instead of assigning writing, I would play games with the kids to figure out, so they could figure out what they wanted to write about, or more importantly, what they needed to write about. And so what they needed to write about was themselves, being adolescents. And so now I'm on the receiving end, particularly with the girls, of a lot of confessional kind of writing. And I think that helps me to, I certainly didn't steal anybody's life or story or anything, but I think that helped me to figure out the voice of Dolores. And that.
Interesting. Wow. Well, I'm glad you weren't. I mean, I can't imagine you being my high school English teacher and then going on to write all these books. I feel like I would be very intimidated in that classroom.
Well, they
Oh my
didn't know
goodness.
that was going to happen, and I didn't.
Yeah, okay, fine. That's true. That's true. Well, once you started writing and realized you were, let's pretend you're not gifted just to make you feel better, but I can believe what I believe. But anyway, let's just say, let's at least both agree that you are a writer.
Mhm.
So now that you agreed that you're a writer, what kept you going? Like, what did you like about it? And what made you keep churning out beautiful books? Or let's not say beautiful books.
Okay.
What was it about it that appealed to you the most? What did you love about it, or what kept you coming back to starting new projects?
I think, and this has happened with every single novel that I've written. I think I'm working on number 7 right now, but I had starting novels is always difficult for me. I spin my wheels for a long time before I get traction on something and start going, and I have to fall in love with and in worry about the character in whose voice I'm speaking. It's only then that I can sort of move forward. And like I said, I don't plan out, a plot line, or I don't know what the climax is going to be that I can write toward. I'm sort of envious of writers who can do that, but that's not me. And so it's the daily discovery. And on the best writing days, it's the surprises that occur in the middle of the writing. I'll maybe plan out what's going to happen, and then all of a sudden it turns into something else. And I like chasing those surprises. I certainly didn't write for royalty checks or anything like that. I still don't. I'm not a very good money manager. My wife is, she's she's the controller, she's the accountant in our relationship. So she handles that, and I get to be, I don't know, almost like a kid. Yeah, that's all right. He's all right. And and so that that's how I do it. I
And
think.
what? Oh, sorry. I just want to know what your latest book is about.
Yeah, I can talk a little bit about that. I write. I realize I write to address my fears lots of times. And one of my biggest fears when my kids were little, and now that I have little grandchildren, we have a grandson who's 5 and 2 granddaughters who are 2 years old, and I think 7 months old.
Oh.
And so my fear has sort of been relegated to fear of my grandchildren's safety. And what I'm writing about is a guy, in the voice of a guy who is incarcerated, doing a 3-year prison sentence for involuntary manslaughter, because he has backed his car up without realizing that one of the kids was there. And so it's a dark beginning, but I'm rooting for this guy. And I'm rooting for his marriage, which is crumbling because of this. And I'm also, I've done that volunteer work in the prison, so I have that kind of knowledge. Even though I, volunteered in a women's prison, but I've got a lot of the material about the restrictions and the craziness and the abuse of power that goes on in prison. So I'm writing both his prison experience and what happens when he gets out of prison.
Wow, that sounds really good. Well, whatever happens while you're spinning your wheels, you end up with these great ideas. So I guess that's just part of the process.
Hopefully,
Okay.
hopefully that'll continue.
You've been so generous of your time. Just one last question. Do you have any advice for aspiring authors? I know you've sprinkled some already, but just any parting advice?
Yeah, it's the same advice that I always give people who are sort of at the starting gate of writing, or who want to write a book, or who want me to write their book. Oh, I got a great story. Do you want to write it? But if you're serious about writing, then I think that what you need to do is dispel your fantasies about what's going to happen when it's finished. What you need to do is get excited about what's happening as you're writing it. Reject any fantasy you have of bestsellerdom. that's a crapshoot. You know, that's like winning a lottery if it's going to happen. But what you need to do is humble yourself to the process, and you need to realize that nobody gets it right in first draft. My first drafts are kind of embarrassing, actually, but you humble yourself to know that real writing comes in rewriting and revising. I also feel that if people do what I did, which is join a writing group and stay with it, and get, not only give feedback to other writers, but also receive feedback in a humble and generous way, that both of those things teach you how to be a writer.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much. Thank you for coming on Moms Don't Have Time to Read Books and this Instagram Live. And I'm so excited to watch the rest and of your show. And now that I read it after college, and now I'm reading it again, and it's just this is such a treat for me and for my listeners, I'm sure. So thank you so much, and congratulations.
Thank you. And despite the technical difficulties at the beginning, I really enjoyed this exchange, Zibby. You had great questions, and I was instantly, once I mastered the technology, I was instantly comfortable being your interview.
Oh, good. I'm so glad to hear that. That makes me happy. Sorry
Okay.
about my kids. I can't believe it. But anyway, these things happen.
Can you tell me their names and their ages?
I'll tell you their ages, but they're 5 and almost 7, and then I also have twins that are about to be 13.
Oh, wow. Yes.
Yeah.
Identicals or fraternal?
Fraternal, boy, girl. Although I do have identical twin uncles. So I had them in mind as I was reading about Dominic and Thomas. So
doing, my wife and I are doing, our grandkids live in New Orleans, and we're doing like literacy lessons. We have class with our 5-year-old Ethan, every weekday, and sometimes on the weekends too.
oh,
That's a lot of fun.
that's so nice to do that. Yeah, no, I try to homeschool, and I don't know. I don't know who's more frustrated, them or me, but
I don't know how people do it.
I don't know. Just doing our best every day, one day at a time. Well, thanks so much. It was really fun, and have a great day. And I'll be watching this Sunday again, every Sunday till it's over.
Thank you very much, and I just want to tell all your listeners and your viewers to stay safe and stay healthy.
Thank you, and to you too.
All right. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you. Oh, that was so fun. Thank you all for watching. Thanks to everybody who will eventually listen to this on the podcast. And thanks for bearing with us through all the technical issues and the kid bombing and whatever else. So I hope you all have a great day, and come back tomorrow. I'm talking to Judy Battalion. And just thank you. That was so fun. I just love this. Okay. Bye. And thanks again to Wally Lamb. Bye.